Welcome to the scariest time of year, tax season.
Really riding in those spooky vibes.
Welcome to Richard Band's Horror Highway.
Richard Band. Yes. He was the most predominant figure out of all the movies we watched today.
He was in, I think he did for two of the movies. He did Re-Animator, and he did, did he do...
I honestly...
Ghoulies II, maybe? No.
Maybe.
He didn't do Dolls. He did TerrorVision, I think.
Yeah, we didn't watch Dolls.
Not Dolls.
I don't even know which...
What was I thinking?
Oh, are you... Tourist Trap?
Tourist Trap, yeah.
I was like, what?
It's got the same vibe as Dolls.
It kind of does. It's got a similar vibe. But yes.
I think he did those two. TerrorVision. Yeah, he did TerrorVision and Re-Animator. Mm-hmm. You know, like, as much as, like, we were kind of just picking random ones, we got a really good, like, we got the heavy hitters. We got Stuart Gordon, we got Ted Nicolau, we got Albert Band, which is an important, like, part of, Full Moon history. David DeCuttow, he's kind of shit, but he's done a lot of ones.
Yes.
Yeah, but we got a lot of, like, the big hitters there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then David Schmoller, which he did Tourist Trap, which was, like, one of the first, like, that was pre...
it was Charles
Band Productions. Yeah. Which we'll talk more about Full Moon shortly. But wow, what a week. We all watched this in, like, the last, like, 4 days, because we had to record late last week, so...
Yeah, I watched most of these today.
I was able to space them out. I think I watched about 2 a day. Because I did watch some other stuff as well. I didn't get a chance to watch Ghoulies 1, which is fine. I know they're not really... Are they, like...
Like I said,
do they just show up? Is that, like...
The only two that really reference each other are Ghoulies 1 and 4.
And aren't those the worst ones?
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, Ghoulies 3 is, like... watchable, but it's bad. It's kind of like got one.
Is that the one?
Ghoulies Go to College.
Yeah, is that the one with who's in that one?
Oh fuck, Matthew
Lillard's in it, right? Yeah,
he's like a very small part, but he's in it. Yeah, yeah, and the Ghoulies talk in that one. Like they have voices and they talk.
They don't talk in the fourth one though, right?
No. They're not even really, like, the iconic ghoulie designs for the fourth one, either. They're, like, weird gargoyle.
There's some sexy woman on the cover of Ghoulies 4.
That doesn't surprise me. They were really just...
Who is this woman?
I honestly don't even remember. It's, like... It's... The movie's so... That and the first one are so batshit boring. I just don't think about them.
So, I didn't warn you, but, I didn't actually expect Creepozoids to be, like, good. I was kind of interested in seeing it, but remember how I said one of my friends really likes it. Their letterboxd, the description is Ghoulies fan, and one of their favorite films is Ghoulies 1. So I'm like...
Well, they like Ghoulies 1 and Creepozoids.
Yeah.
Which I didn't... Spoiler alert. I wasn't crazy about Creepozoids.
I will say... Out of the two David DeCuttow movies,
yes,
it's substantially better than The Killer Eye.
Yeah, probably.
Well, we'll get to it, but...
Yeah.
I'm trying to see... I mean, when talking about him, like, I think Puppet Master 3 is a fine movie. I think it's a substantial step up from the first two, which I really, really don't.
I think, like, 3 through 5 is, like, the good era.
Yeah, I like 5 I really like. And then was Retro 6? Or was that 4? No, that was 6, right?
Retro is 7. 6 is Curse.
Oh. That one's really bad.
Yes.
He becomes a tank. Someone becomes a tank.
It, like, from what I remember, that's the one that, like, jumps and has, like, a big time skip to where it's, like, years later in the future. And it's, like...
Yeah, it's like 4 years after the
several generations after the last one or something.
Yeah, because it just jumps all over the place.
Yeah.
I will say Retro is the one that like everyone really doesn't like. I think it's like fine in comparison.
I mean, it's
plus it's got Greg Sestero in it.
Yeah, compared to the bulk of Puppet Master movies, because I can remember shit from Retro. That's the one with like the fucking men in black who go around and like.
Yeah, and it's Toulon's like a kid. Like Greg Sestero plays.
Yeah, I honestly don't mind that one.
Yeah, I think that's more interesting than most of them.
I agree. And I know people say that like 10, like and like some of those ones are okay.
The Axis ones, I still haven't watched.
I'm not a big fan of that era. It's into like that sleazy full moon era kind of quality, and I'm not a big fan of that section. I mean, I watch a lot of it because I watch a lot of fucking full moon regardless because I have some weird fascination.
We're not, you know.
At least, and this is a big thing that's been going on, is like people are really obsessing over the new like Jeffrey Dahmer series and like fangirling over Jeffrey. I'm like, that's a little suspicious. Like, it's one thing to we just like shitty horror movies.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be like, I love celebrating this horrible murderer that targeted black people and ate them.
It's
like, you can like true crime. I get it. You can be like into true crime.
Oh, I know.
But being like, but like it's not something to necessarily brag about when you're like, you know, none of that bothered me. I'm like, that's not good.
No.
That's not, that means you don't have empathy for actual people being like, you could say that like, oh, I think this show is really bad at conveying these things that I didn't actually like feel anything. Like, that's one thing. But people just like, there's a lot of people on like TikTok right now bragging like,
no, I saw that trend and it's like,
that's not good.
Yeah. And it's not like you're watching a fucking, like a horror movie or something like, that's not scary, bro.
Like, these are real stories, even if they're like a fictionalized account of them. They're still real stories. And
I'm glad that you can feel so disconnected and safe, but like, it's just.
But these people's families are still alive.
Yeah, it's like, insensitive and it's like not cool. But
like, I don't really even agree with a lot of these stories being told by these giant multi-million-dollar corporations in the first place.
Like, because I was just like looking. Even Tubi has like an original Jeffrey Dahmer documentary now, and it's like, yeah, they really have like just fucking. Really just put the price tags and
Tubi
sell these fucking tragic points in history.
Tubi, I think, is like a good streaming service in the sense that it's free and it has a decent selection.
I was just using that as an example.
No, but I'm saying the ethics of Tubi as a general are really ass. Like,
I'm sure.
Like they have an original like movie or series coming out that's just it's just the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case, like a fictionalized version of it. And I was like, that's just so gross. It's just not. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
And the spectacle of that when it was like happening and people like just dogpiling on like a woman like as soon as they thought she was wrong.
It's like both sides are shit. That's like if there's a trial against Bonnie and Clyde and you only fucking everyone's like Bonnie's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's just like obviously that's a bit more of a stretched example, but
it just made me really grossed out when it was happening, and now I'm just like, cool. People are still just dragging this person through the mud when they've already like lost everything. It's like, cool. This makes me feel incredibly sad. Anyway, here's Joe Yowza and Cy Snoodles, my great gift from Thomas. It's me and him.
Yes,
it's us. You give me Joe Yowza, and I'll be Cy Snoodles.
I'm okay with that.
But did you end up doing anything else in the last couple of days?
Yes.
I guess since you watched them all like today.
Yesterday I went and saw Barbarian.
What'd you think?
I thought it was decent. I thought it was pretty good horror movie.
I thought I had a lot of fun in that.
Yeah, movie. I saw that you gave it like a 9.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't.
That's fair. That's fair. I think the audience, because I was in a big crowd too, and everyone was like screaming and it was a really fun experience too.
I was real close to giving it a 7, but I just was really annoyed by the character decision making in the movie. I found it from the very initial fucking setup where she's like gets to the Airbnb and sees that there's someone in there to the very moment where it ended. I found like pretty much every decision that every character made, aside from maybe like a couple in the movie, to be like the worst. And I was just like, it definitely like just had me there like, oh, why did you do that the whole time?
It's fair. There were definitely some, I don't think I would go so far as for me being like, oh, every decision was bad for me. But like there were some that I thought were pretty fun. There were some that I thought were very funny, like Justin Long's character later on. And the measure. Like, everyone in the theater just started laughing. It was fun.
I was fine when it was, like, he took it to the point where he's, like, measuring the, like, white room. And
then he keeps going.
But once it was down to him in the caves, I was like, all right, this has kind of crossed the line of believability for me a little bit.
Wow, but you actually went to a theater?
I did. Did
you watch Avatar?
So often. No, I think I might go do that, like, Wednesday or something. I'm not entirely sure. But.
So you saw that?
Mm-hmm. And then I rewatched the first 2 Hellraisers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I saw.
Did you see the list? Yes. Okay. We don't have to, but or you just don't have to watch it again because you're just.
I'll maybe watch it again.
Was it good? No. Okay. I don't remember it being good, but I only saw it once.
The first one, to be fair, is like I guess kind of okay. But the second one, oh my god, the second one was awful.
I've only seen, I think, the first, the 8th, and the 10th or something like that. And I think the first one I watched was like the 8th.
Yeah.
So when I watched the first one, I was in a bad mood because I was like, I've already seen the shitty one. And I'm like, this is still not very good.
Yeah, no. But it made me very sad because for years I've been like, I like the first 2 Hellraisers, and then I rewatched them, and it's like, I can't even say that anymore. I hope I like the remake, or else I just might not like anything.
I like David Bruckner quite a bit, like his newer stuff. So
yeah,
I like The Ritual, and I really liked The Night House.
I know he doesn't write his scripts though, which is the main thing that concerns me. He looks like a good visual director.
Yeah,
but
who did write the scripts? Do you know?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Let's check.
But
Luke Petrowski.
Based off the trailer, it looks like it could be a little generic modern horror.
It looks like the writers are the people that did The Night House, which I really enjoyed.
Okay.
They also did a movie called Super Dark Times, which I heard was good. So I have hope.
Yeah, no,
I just think that the trailers. I'm just hoping the trailer is just trying not to like give away stuff, but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see it.
Oh, so am I.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know what? Despite all my dislike of Hellraiser, I'm still probably going to marathon through the rest of them this week before the remake comes out. Because why the fuck not? I've already begun.
I mean, if that's the case, I might do that as well if we want to just do them all.
Not opposed.
This Scream Weens, the scariest thing is it's all gonna be deep dives.
Oh man, I necessarily wouldn't be opposed to that, but
I
wouldn't necessarily be opposed.
The scariest thing this month is Thomas forgot how to word his sentences.
I've always been pretty bad at that, though.
Thank God you don't talk every week on a podcast for an hour.
Definitely not. No, this has been actually a dummy that I telepathically control from my house the entire time.
Okay, let's see. I think the only thing I've been reading a lot. Mm-hmm. I watched Smile, that new horror movie that's out in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. I had a lot of jump scares. Some of them are fun. It's kind of goofy, and it doesn't want to be. It's fine. I really don't like the ending. I really don't like the ending of a lot of horror movies, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was fine. There's a lot of goofy sound cues and editing decisions that just don't really lend themselves to the themes or the tone the movie seems to want to go with. Mm-hmm. So it's just it was fine. It was watchable. I also rewatched Avatar for a third time in the last week. I'm just having a blast every time I watch it.
Yeah?
I'm just having a real good time.
I feel that.
Which is fine. I think you'll probably give it a 6 or a 7 when you watch it. Which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably expecting maybe like a light 7 based off of just what I remember from when I saw it, but who knows, maybe I'll be like, this is really tight and well executed, because even if it is a little generic, if it runs nice and clean, then I tend to favor shit like that.
Pierre watched it the last time with me, and I think he gave it a 7, and we were talking and he didn't really grasp with any of the characters, and I feel like the characters are purposefully,
kind of
to be like more inserts for the audience. But even then, there are like subtle character moments that I really like in the movie that I think lend themselves really well to like making a diversified like cast of different like emotional characters.
Usually
different like themes, and I'm fine with that in a movie. I don't need every movie to have like super strong characters if they're trying to do something else.
Yeah, usually when I like canvas characters, it's usually there are more animated characters around them that kind of like make it still feel like there's like good characters within it, at least personality wise. They don't necessarily, it depends on the project. They don't necessarily have to be like the deepest characters. It just depends. But I guess I'll see when I rewatch it.
And then
I might go see it in IMAX. I might just fucking like turn my lights off and sit real close to my fucking big TV and just like pretend I'm at the theater.
And then this Thursday, Terrifier 2 comes out. And Trick or Treat's going to be in theaters.
Oh, nice.
Which is awesome. I'm going to see that. I'm hoping, probably Friday, because Thursday is Jules' birthday, so we're going to go to Dave and Buster's. It'll be my first time there.
Oh, yeah.
Some grown-up Chuck E. Cheese. I've never been to a Chuck E. Cheese, though, so I'll just... It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, right?
Yeah, kind of. I went to Chuck E. Cheese maybe twice when I was a kid. So
probably this coming Friday I'll see both. And I'm trying to figure out, because Terrifier 2 I know I'm going to fucking hate. If I hate the first...
Is it going to theaters? Or
Terrifier 2 is going to be in the theaters, yeah.
Like mass theaters? Like wide open?
It's in ours. It's in this one. Mm-hmm. I think it's in... Then how long is it again? Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Whoa, why? Oh, no.
The first was an hour and 20 minutes.
And that felt too...
They're tacking on an extra hour to that.
Are you going to rewatch the first one?
Absolutely fucking not. Maybe. It's been 3 years.
Yeah. Damn.
And I guess I'm just rewatching shitty movies that I saw 3 years ago this month or last month, because I rewatched Rise of Skywalker. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not excited. So I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go in high after watching Trick or Treat and be like, oh, that was great? Or do I want to go palate cleanser, watch Trick or Treat after?
But if I go right after Trick or Treat, I might be like, I'll ride in that high still and be like, this was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't want that false.
Maybe not Damien Chazelle. What?
Damien Leone.
Damien Leone. Maybe he'll surprise you.
Maybe. I doubt it, but there's always the comeback for everyone, I believe. Charles Band's made movies that I like. Like, he's directed movies I like. So... Full Moon. I remember when Full Moon, when the first one I watched that was good, I was like, what the fuck?
What was that?
I think it was Intruder.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't seen that one still, so.
I can't remember, though.
Yeah, fuck.
It might have been Blood Dolls, though.
Yeah, I remember you watched Blood Dolls. I remember I told you to watch Demonic Toys, and you watched that at work one day. But I don't know if that would have been your first one or not.
It might have been.
Fucking... Yeah. Charles Band. I couldn't tell you what the first Full Moon movie I saw was, because I watched a lot of garbage from the video store when I was a kid for a very long time. Earlier today, I actually unlocked the memory of fucking one that I watched called Terror Tunes, and I can't fucking find any sort of... There's, like, records of it, but, like, only, like, 7 people have watched...
Oh, by Joe people. Castro.
Yeah, and apparently there's 4 of them.
Yeah,
I found, like, a partial upload of, like, half the movie, but not the full movie. It's probably awful. I remember it being pretty awful when I was, like, a little kid. But I watched it. And I kind of want to check it out for nostalgic reasons. But.
Terror Toons 3 is randomly available to, like, rent on, like, Vudu and YouTube, but the first 2 aren't.
Yeah, I don't know what the... I even, like, looked for used DVD copies on eBay, and they're, like, out of print. I found one selling for, like, $150, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Was that...
the first one.
Was that Full Moon, or...?
No, they're not Full Moon, but, like... It's like an even shittier, lower budget production quality or company that existed within
this looks ass. This looks awful.
Yeah, no,
I need to watch it.
It's like lower quality than Full Moon. I found
that name sounds familiar. Joe Castro.
He might have done shit for Full Moon or something, maybe, but
maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe this is just on like a list that I've looked at before.
Possibly.
It is on one of the lists that I've liked, and I've been like, what the fuck is this? That's why. Yeah, and then I've been reading, and then I've been working, so. Yeah. Oh, I watched Bros, the new Billy Eichner gay rom-com. I went to theaters. It's like a big deal, because it's the first, like, big LGBTQ, like, rom-com in a while that's in theaters. It's very funny. Mm-hmm. It's also very funny because he's just like, I'm just going to put, like, gay sex scenes in this movie. I'm like, I want to go watch this with a straight person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was sweet. It was a little long. It was like 2 hours. I mean, this could have been like an hour and 40 minutes. It's also weird because it's like a Judd Apatow, like, kind of like, he produced it. It's by the director of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and she's like, it's so weird because if you look at Judd Apatow movies from like 15 years ago, they're incredibly homophobic.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Like 40-Year-Old Virgin, like stuff like that. Like, I'm glad it's not that way, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Cool. Let's, I don't think I have any questions from Pierre, but I'll double check.
Pierre.
No, I do.
Pierre!
Question time! Question 1. What is your preferred fighting style? Slow hit, big damage, or a bunch of really light attacks that add up to something big?
Honestly, light attacks. If we're talking about, like, when I play video games. Because I like hitting fast.
That's fair. Yeah, I tend to usually go for fast attacks over anything. I'm pretty versatile, though. I'll do both. In real life, gotta beat the slow hit, big damage. I go like, come on, sucker!
Wind it up for a minute.
All right, give me a second. Question 2. Would you rather see a movie with only one character or 100 characters, all with equal screen time? I mean, I'd see either, but like...
Probably one character.
Probably one character.
Yeah.
I think one character movies can be really good. Mm-hmm. I watched that one about like Nixon or whatever, like a month ago or whatever, with Philip Baker Hall and I thought that was really good. And him just like talking to no one. What was that called? What the fuck was that called? Secret Honor. Yeah. That was a fun one. Ha 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 ha. But I mean, I'd watch a movie with 100 characters with equal screen time, but it'd either have to be long or like little, like 1 minute shorts of like people's lives. Like that could be interesting.
Yeah, something like Slacker or something like that.
But even like smaller microcosms.
Oh yeah.
I actually think that'd be I think both could be good. Question 3. If you were to launch David Lynch, you listen to the podcast. If you were to launch David Lynch into the sun, where would you go to eat to celebrate a future of movies that are able to be watched without being confused or angry?
Oh, Pierre, you're so naive. If we just smite David Lynch,
he'll become more powerful.
Will grow out of the ground.
And then you go, Don't be watching cinema on a phone.
Yeah.
Arby's is my answer.
KFC.
David Lynch looks like he would like be writing a manuscript in a KFC.
Like this
with the gravy from the mashed potatoes. He's like, my pen's not working.
Yeah.
All right.
Why doesn't this place have coffee?
Okay. It's time. We gotta talk about full moon.
Full moon. We've never done just like a full-bred full moon episode before, have we? I don't think so.
No, we did a Stuart Gordon deep dive, and I think that's it. Like, have we covered anything else?
We've had to have.
Well, we talk about them a lot, but I don't know if we've ever like. Let's just scroll through real quick.
Yeah. That's not what I meant to do.
There are some that I'm like, that seems like no, that's not a full moon movie. like some of the Demons movies, I'm like, that's it. Wait, no, that's just Italian.
No, those are a little higher brow than the full moon movies.
I don't know. The Church seems like it could be a full or an Empire movie at least.
Yeah, it kind of got. I'd say those movies kind of have close to Empire vibes. Oh,
the fuck was that?
You or I screaming from one of the first couple episodes. I accidentally clicked on it. Let's see. Ghostmates is not a full moon movie.
Ghostmates is most certainly not a full moon movie.
And Nagatami's not a full moon movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got full moons in it, but it's not a full moon movie.
Yeah, I don't think we have. Just scrolling through everything we've watched.
I refuse to believe we've been doing this for...
Well, we did Subspecies.
We did do Subspecies.
Which is just full moon, but it's Ted Nicolau. He did all of it. I don't think did he do the first one? Yeah, he did. He didn't write the first one. That's how you know 2 gets good.
I see.
So we did that, so pretty much a Ted Nicolau episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he's great. I really wish he just made all the newer ones.
That'd be nice. But
LaQuisha does not count.
I did the Werewolf Reborn for...
Oh, you did. I don't think I ever watched that one. I watched Frankenstein Reborn, which fucking sucked.
I mean, they both fucking sucked.
Yeah. And we did the Ted Nicolau, and then we did the Stuart Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is it.
Almost Dracula 3000.
Yeah.
Not quite a full moon movie, but it feels like it could be one. Yeah.
All right. So, Charles Band, he's like 70 now. He started in the 70s. He made Charles Band Productions. He would make Empire a couple of years later, but when he first had Charles Band Productions, he was buying a lot of rights to early movies that didn't have rights to them, or just random movies. The Day Time Ended. I think Laser Blast might have been then.
Mm-hmm.
There was an old horror movie as well, kind of video nasty stuff. He was trying to get the rights of. But then he made Empire in 1983, and then that would fold 5 years later due to financial difficulties. And then he's like, what if we stopped spending money on the movies? Then we'll make money. And then he made Full Moon Productions, which would later become Full Moon Features, I think. It's cycled through 4 different names.
Yeah, there's Full Moon Productions, Features, Pictures, Entertainment. They take them all the titles.
At its height, Empire would release an average of 2 films a month, one in the theater and one for home video. So they were going a little crazy.
Yeah,
and they've slowed down since. The Full Moon, I feel makes still maybe one a month and one every 2 months.
Do they?
Maybe one.
They do multiple a year, maybe 4 or 5 a year.
I feel like a lot of them are compilation movies, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. There was something. Last Foxtrot at Burbank, I just want to talk about briefly. It's the first movie that Charles Band directed, and it didn't... he, kind of buried it. He thought it was bad. But if I remember correctly, John Carpenter edited it.
Oh, the John Carpenter. Huh.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
But, Mansion of the Doomed was the first movie outside of his the one he made. So Mansion of the Doomed was the first movie he, bought the rights to and, produced.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of that one.
You might have seen this poster might ring a bell, maybe? Oh, okay. Apparently it sucks, but,
What? No.
It was, I think... Yeah, it came out in 76, and then UK, I don't even think it was released because, video nasty stuff. And he's like, I need to buy that. That's what I think he sounds like, probably. Then in the next couple of years, he was just buying stuff that was kind of already out. But then 79, Tourist Trap, David Schmoller, who they worked together pretty well, and then he would go on to produce Puppet Master with David Schmoller directing. And while I think that movie's ass, I think the first Puppet Master is bad. Yeah. I do think that David Schmoller pretty much made Full Moon what it is because of Puppet Master.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because Charles Band kind of just, swept him under the rug with that and kind of took Puppet Master from him.
Yeah. If without Puppet Master, Full Moon would have ended up just like Empire. I don't think that any of their other properties would have been able to carry them through the video age.
Which I think they have other properties that are much better. Subspecies, I think, is legitimately pretty good. Or at least has good ideas.
Yeah, they're definitely higher quality. Subspecies is probably their most consistent. And even that last film had dropped off. Hopefully the new one they do is okay, but...
Well, I think Subspecies, what was it, 4? 4 was really bad.
Yeah, that was the best.
And then I think Vampire Journals was still bad, but not as bad.
I actually remembered liking Vampire Journals.
That's fair. I didn't, mind it. I thought it was a step up from 4. But I think that, 1's decent, 2 I think is really good, and 3 I think is pretty good too.
From what I recall, 2 and 3 kind of blend together.
But I think 4, because they're direct, yeah.
But yeah, what's it called? Yeah, Full Moon, real bad. Most of their properties aren't good. Most of you, if you grew up in the age where you bought horror DVDs from Walmart and you remember those big horror movie packs, if it wasn't an old public domain movie from the 60s or 70s, it was probably a Full Moon movie that they had on there. They're real low quality, but real accessible, real cheap. They've spit out hits such as the Evil Bong franchise, Ginger Dead Man, Killjoy.
Now there's Ginger Weed Man. That came out, I think, this year or last year.
Yeah, at a certain point, the Ginger Dead Man and the Evil Bong movies just fuse into just one series. It's really weird. Very chronologically confusing. I remember having to look up, oh fuck, what the fuck is going on? What order do I watch these movies?
Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong, and then it just continues in Evil Bong, right?
Yeah, and then
5 or something like that.
And then I want to say at a certain point, Ginger Dead Man, peels back out again, if I remember correctly. It's been a few years, and I watched it.
And I still haven't watched this, because I'm just I've only seen Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong, and it's so fucking terrible.
Ginger Dead Man 3...
is pretty okay.
It's weird. He, just goes into a time, thing and goes back to the disco era, and it's just kind of a weird...
Is that Saturday Night Cleaver? Is that what that one's called? That's a good name.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Gary Busey only voiced him in the first one.
Yeah, then they get some other guy to voice him for the rest of them. But yeah, fucking Witch House. It's another franchise they had. That one lasted a few. trying to think of like notable franchises they have. Yeah, I don't know. Full Moon.
You know who did Witch House?
Oh, not off.
David Dakota.
That explains why these movies are so fucking boring. Witch House 1 through 3 are fucking...
I think he just did Witch House 1.
That doesn't surprise me. 2 and 3, particularly 3, are definitely a dip in quality.
I kind of want to watch some of his movies that are apparently, like, I've actually heard that Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball Bolorama is pretty okay.
I haven't watched that one, but...
It's an Empire movie. And I've heard Dr. Alien's kind of okay.
There's also Doll Man and Demonic Toys for franchises.
But Demonic Toys has one good one. Doll Man is okay, I think, the first one.
Yeah.
And then Doll Man only does... I think is it just Doll Man and then Doll Man versus Demonic Toys? I don't think there's any other... Or was there a Puppet Master versus Doll Man as well? Oh yeah, because I think Puppet Master had the crossover with Doll Man and then also Demonic Toys.
Yeah, I think so. It's been so long.
I think there's a triangle, so it's Puppet Master, Doll Man, and Puppet Master, Demonic Toy.
Oh, fuck. There was something that just slipped my mind. Aren't the Scanners movies... Or not the Scanners. What the fuck is... with the guy from Doll Man? What's that?
Oh, Trancers.
Trancers.
Yeah. Which I've heard Trancers 1 is, like, legitimately good, and that's when Charles Band was made.
Yeah.
I almost picked... But it's, like, not as, like... It's not really horror-centric, so...
Yeah, it's more of, like, a sci-fi...
But eventually I'll probably pick Trancers for a deep dive.
Probably.
Because it's, like... I think it's, like, 4 and then, like, a short.
Yeah, something like that.
Because there was, like, a... There was, like, a thing that was never really released. It was, like... They made, like, 3 shorts that tie into other, like, Full Moon properties. But in general, I think Full Moon's at its best when it's Stuart Gordon or Ted Nicolau, because they're, like, good directors.
Yes.
But, you know, I think Full Moon has an addicting quality to it. Like, I can't... There's something about it that's, like, they're just so weird.
Yeah, and sometimes the movies do hit a sweet spot of just being the right amount of just, like, kind of cheesy, generic, good...
And we actually hit a lot of those today. I think Empire really hit a lot of those.
Yeah.
There are some Empire movies that I think are legitimately good, and then there are some that are like, this is camp. This is fun.
Yes.
There are... Let's see. What did we watch today? So we watched Tourist Trap, we watched Re-Animator, we watched TerrorVision, we watched Ghoulies II, Creepozoids, and The Killer Eye.
Yep.
And, like... I think some of these are legitimately good, and some are camp and fun, and some are bad. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about them. That's our new little.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You're gonna get a soundbar for that.
No, I'm gonna do it every time. Let's talk about Tourist Trap. So this is one I had seen a while ago, and when I first watched it, I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I remember watching the intro, and I think the intro is so good. Mm-hmm. With him stuck in the room, and the mannequins are like, ah!
Yeah.
And he's just like, ah!
In case anyone's curious what's going on, so is anyone in the first few minutes of this movie.
Yeah. A man... I think his name's Woody. Woody is rolling a tire. It's like flatting his kid. And he goes to a gas station. And he can't find anyone. So he goes in the back. And there's like someone laying down. He's like, oh, I better go see him there. And then he goes up to him. And he's like, hey, man, I need some help. And it's a mannequin that sits up. And he's like, ah!
Yeah, it just laughs.
And then he gets locked in. And it seems like magic might be happening. Because things start like flying around. And, and then he gets a giant pipe. Like, just... He gets penetrated.
Yeah.
He gets stabbed with a giant pipe. Mm-hmm. And then the blood trickles out of him.
And it drips down onto like a piece of metal or something.
And like,
yes. A very wacky soundtrack to this movie.
Yeah.
It's a very wacky.
Yeah. And I'll say now, I still really enjoyed this movie. I think it's fun. I think it's a little slow at times.
Yeah.
But...
I would say this movie's biggest crime is how sluggish it can be, but I think the thing that carries this movie is definitely just how weird and wacky this movie is compared to a lot of other slashers.
Yeah.
And definitely, like, the slasher themselves is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Chuck Connor's incredible in this movie. Mm-hmm. He makes a bunch of... And it's really just because they're like, just be as weird as you can. He's just a weirdo when he's trying to be like a kind old man.
Like a backwater country boy.
Yeah. He makes weird jokes all the time, and then he walks around with masks and he pretends to be other people, and it's just goofy.
So this movie, when you're watching it, if you're familiar with the horror scene of the 70s, you will kind of recognize some of the plot elements. There's a lot of Texas Chainsaw, Hills Have Eyes, and the DNA of this. But it's like they took those movies, fused them together, and then we're like, let's still just like make it weird and zany and carnivalesque, which they did. And I think it stands out a lot because of that decision to make it so wacky and weird.
I think one thing that I like about this script that I like about
House of Wax in it too.
Yeah, that I like about like horror movies from this era is one of the main like themes of the movie is like these rural areas, these like small towns being abandoned because of like capitalism and because of like highways being a thing, and people pretty much becoming abandoned, and that being like leading into like horror, leading into like misfortune and stuff. I think a lot of like Texas Chainsaw, all these like types of movies explore these themes.
It's got a little bit of Psycho in that regard.
Yeah, and I think it pretty effectively like nails it, while also being like pretty jovial, pretty fun.
Also kind of simultaneously being creepy. I could see someone either finding this not very scary and kind of funny, or they can find it not very funny and very scary.
Yeah,
I think kind of depends on your level of fear of like uncanny things like mannequins and puppets.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially, I do think like in the 70s, if you're watching this movie, I could see people being like, I don't fucking like this movie.
Yeah. No, it's definitely chaotic. Like that first scene where it's just like mannequins busting through the window, just laughing like a witch cackle and throwing shit at him while his arm's stuck in the door. It's like,
watching this, I think the first time I watched it was like late at night, and I was like, I was trying to get in the mood to be kind of like scared by an Empire movie, which isn't usually something that happens, but there are a couple scenes like I don't like mannequins. Like they're not something that I look at them and like that is unsettling. No, I'm not necessarily like, scared of them, but I'm like, but there's the scene they have like then they hide in them later, but there's like the walkway in like the cramped hallway where it's just mannequins everywhere, and watching that I'm like, something's gonna move, and nothing actually happens with those, but I like that it sets it up that something could happen right here, and nothing actually ever does, but it makes me tense and it's uncomfortable. It's claustrophobic in this. And I think they use their sets, these like smaller, like low budget sets pretty effectively in this movie. I actually think that the like plastering scene with the woman like screaming and then suffocating and dying is like uncomfortable. Like,
yeah,
the way he's talking to her too, it's just like where he's like, don't worry, you won't suffocate. Your heart will, like, explode first. You'll die of a panic attack. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like,
yeah.
I think this movie is pretty effective in making me uncomfortable at times.
And that's kind of interesting, because it's like a PG movie, so they really couldn't do a lot of gory kills. So, like, the fact that he's just kind of, like, finding these kind of creative ways to, like, still try and make scary kills. Like, having the thorough, like, or in-depthly explaining the, like,
process of having a panic attack and your heart palpitating and dying.
And it's like, that's a pretty creative way to like try and kill somebody when it's like you don't have a whole lot of. And he's like, they're like smearing mashed potatoes on her face or something. Obviously not in the movie. It's like a fucking plaster of some sort. But it's certainly interesting.
And I brought up dolls earlier just because, like, it implies that, like, the spirits of these people are still kind of, like, trapped inside them. Like, it shows their eyes occasionally. And later on, like, is it Holly?
or Molly, the main character. She's like, she sees like this mannequin kind of turn into this woman for a second,
and like kind of comfort her when she's freaking the fuck out.
So that just reminded me of Dolls, because that person just traps people's. Ow! I just bit my lip. People's souls in Dolls. Yeah. And the soundtrack in that movie is also very goofy. And it's also about, like, you know, people cut off from society because of, like, highways. You know, same old, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this one's a lot of fun. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, but I do like its premise. I like its style, the uncanny nature of it. 'Cause like none of the main characters are very interesting. It's like a group of college kids, you know, stop in this town and get picked off kind of one by one. But it kind of subverts your expectations, because it seems like they're all dead within the first half hour. And it's revealed that like a lot of them are just kind of like tied up down in a basement somewhere.
Yeah.
And they kind of like re-escape, and
and then one of them is actually secretly like a mannequin.
Yeah. And it's just like,
I remember watching that. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's really strange, but it adds like a certain level of like unpredictability to the movie, which I think is like really intensifies any tension it has.
Well, I think they do some interesting stuff with the script, although it is, I think, a little long. But, like, she escapes, and then she's picked up by Mr. Slauson again, because it's already been revealed to, like, another character that, oh, he's the bad guy. But you're like, no! Molly does it! No! Mm-hmm. And he's great at playing, like, the straight man and being like, no, I'm gonna help you.
Yeah. It's like, the whole time it's very obvious. It's like, yeah, this is the guy, but he does a really good job at making you, like, until you know for certain. It's like, you don't.
He's like, maybe his brother really is there.
I figured it was gonna, like, they're gonna be doing, like, the Norman Bates kind of thing where he, like, puts on the mask and becomes like the brother's personality sort of a thing.
But really, it was just him fucking with them. That's also what I like about it. He's just fucking with people all the time. Mm-hmm. Like the first thing, he's just using his magic powers outside the window or whatever to be, what?
Yeah. Like baits him with a key and like pulls it away at one point. Yeah, his magic powers are probably like my favorite part. Apparently that wasn't in the original script. And Charles Band was like, we should give him. And
that's a good idea. Like, I do think. And I like that it's like more unexplored. And he talks about it. He's like, no, I want to use it. But everyone says I shouldn't, you know? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of internal conflict with this character as well. Because he's also like killed his wife and then like kept her alive with
his wife and his brother. Because they were having an affair. And it's lawful and his legal right to, as the law says, if you find your wife cheating on you, you can kill her, according to this character.
But only if you kill her lover as well.
Yes. That's the loophole there.
Also, I love the final shot of this movie. Where she's just driving down the road and she's like, she looks insane now. And she has all her friends, but they're all mannequins. I remember that shot so vividly because I think it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. And in general, I just think, like, it has a level of uncomfortability and like even like vulnerability in the movie that I think is much different than most of like Full Moon stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like thematically interesting too. Like a lot of Full Moon, it's hard to like look at the themes of it because it's just like they're lacking in but this one, especially such an early one, I think is like really I really like this movie. I think it might if it was a little shorter and a little tighter, I think it might be my favorite. It's not though.
I could definitely see that being the case. I like this one a fair amount.
Yeah. She got a big tourist trap poster. I also really like the poster of this movie. I like the masks in it. Yeah. And I think that the house is behind it or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's the face over the house. Yeah. I really like this poster.
It's a decent.
Plus, the mask is like that mask. I'm like, that's creepy.
Yeah, got big like leather face kind of vibes.
Yeah. I will say, I think this movie's a better movie than Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I certainly think it's a more entertaining movie than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I kind of go against the grain with
I think we both do,
yeah. It's decent.
I think it's a good movie. I just...
Looks good. Golden.
Yeah, I do think that this movie, when it's in like its tightly enclosed spaces, I think it looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. When it's like more outdoorsy, it just kind of looks a little bland. But
yeah,
I think you're going to give this one a 6.
Yeah. I think that you're going to give it a 7.
I am. Wow, a 7. Mm-hmm. All right, next up, Re-Animator? Re-Animator.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Re-Animator. Yep, Re-Animator. So we've both seen this movie before.
Yes.
It's been two years, and I've seen more Stuart Gordon since then, so I'm like, maybe I'll like Re-Animator more, because I remember liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have the same issue I have with Tourist Trap, though. I think this movie's like just kind of boring at times. Like, there are scenes that I'm just like, I don't think it's ever boring, but I do think it's a little long. Even though it's only like an hour and 25 minutes, I'm just like, what the fuck are they doing? I really like this movie, though, I will say.
I can't say I share the same sentiment. I think that this movie is pretty tight. I think it's a lot tighter than From Beyond was. That's one that...
Yeah, I know we disagree more on From Beyond.
Yeah.
I think I like the slower pace of From Beyond more.
I don't even have a problem with, like, the pacing for the most part. It's just that the movie, like,
the shift
winds
in the
down,
third act,
and then it just... Which was unexpected.
Which I liked, and you did. I remember that, but...
It's not that I didn't like... Now that I'm prepared for it, if I were to rewatch it, I might like it more. But it's definitely, like, a pacing thing I've noticed. So it's like... But this one, I don't have that issue with. I think it's pretty tight for the most part. I can't really think of any part that drags that I don't think isn't important to the narrative in some functionality way.
I think I'm just more like the first like 20 minutes I think are really like erratic in their storytelling, and maybe it doesn't necessarily drag, but because they're trying to do a lot of stuff and set up a lot of stuff, and like I don't even think the first scene is necessary. Yeah. I think the movie might be better without it.
Personally, I love the cold open.
That's fair too. I had Pierre watch this, and Joe and Hinatea last night. That was the last movie I watched, and he's just like, "Oh, it's just starting," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do appreciate that, but I think maybe it's just something like I like." Like the Candyman opening. I have more of an appreciation for it now.
I don't.
I really didn't like it the first time, and I'm like fine with it now. But I always have like cold opens like that. I'm always like, do I like it? Do I not?
Yeah.
I think Herbert West. Maybe it's just because I don't know. I think he'd be a little more interesting without that cold open. I think he's a really interesting character, but. I think having him be like somewhat of a mystery before it's revealed that he's like a complete weirdo.
I could definitely see that being the case. But yeah, no, I think that there's still definitely like an element of mystery to his character, because like you're wondering, or maybe you're not wondering, but I guess the question still could stand of him whether he wants to do this for like actual sort of, I'm trying to cure death, or whether it's just to like scratch the curiosity itch that he has, which as the film goes along, it's undoubtable that like, no, he's just like doing this kind of shit.
He just wants the power. He just,
Yeah. Wants to feel like he's
a god.
Basically.
He's a fascinating character, and Jeffrey Combs is so good as him.
Yeah.
And I was arguing with Pierre and Hinatea about this, but he's fucking hot!
No, he is. Not so much, like, I can see why someone wouldn't think so if they were watching, like, this movie, because he's kind of meant to, like, look kind of, like, small and swarmy in this one, but when he's, like, just himself, yeah, he's a very attractive gentleman. But yeah, he, fucking, what's it called? Yeah, very, like, Rick and Morty kind of energy with, like, him and Oh, Dan.
Yeah, Dan. I remember his actor's name. I think it's Greg Abbott. What was it? Their relationship is like really funny at times.
Yeah, very gay. You can tell Herbert.
Well, and Herbert West is so funny because he's like talking about. He's like, "How dare you touch a woman? Me, a real scientist, only has sex with men."
Yeah,
which he doesn't actually say that, but it's like
no. My favorite part is. I think my favorite line comes after my least favorite part in the movie, which is
the scene with
the head.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Not a fan of that, but also
then he's like, you second-rate scientist.
Yeah, he's like, of course you would be using your...
Tristing with a co-ed.
It's like, you just discovered the cure to death and you're trying to, like, go down on a co-ed. It's like, you're a failure of a scientist.
Yeah, I think that scene is... too gross for this movie.
Yeah. Stuart Gordon loves those type of scenes though. Like they're prevalent in like all of his movies. Like From Beyond had like an uncomfortable scene very similar to that, and I don't think Dagon ever went that far.
I didn't end up seeing Dagon.
Yeah, Dagon's really good. I really like Dagon. I might rewatch that one.
I will say at the very least, From Beyond at least makes thematic sense. Like, Re-Animator, it's just kind of there to be gross.
From Beyond is like...
it's about sexual power and, like, the power, like, sex.
Honestly, it's a better version of Hellraiser.
That's what I'm afraid of watching. I'm going to be like, why didn't they just make 10 From Beyond movies?
Yeah, when I was watching Hellraiser, I was like, this is actually, like, very close thematically and kind of content-wise to, like, From Beyond. Just, it's a lot less fun.
I have heard that the new Hellraiser is pretty good at like exploring the idea that this is like not just the highest like pain you could find, but also like pleasure, like the original idea, which the other Hellraisers movies don't really accurately like look at.
No.
At least I've heard that. I don't know if that's true.
They like it's something that they'll say, but it's nothing that's ever actually really demonstrated. So it's like, I don't know, that whenever they like bring the hooks out to play, it's just like, all right, well, we don't really see much from there outside of torture. So it's like, must be a math.
Let me see someone come.
Right? It's just like, can you show me one person who enjoys this? But they don't. They don't.
But yeah, Herbert West tries to raise people from the dead, and he succeeds. Like he does it. Yeah, they're just like horrible zombie monsters.
Yeah, they just come back like super fucking angry, and they've got like enhanced strength because they're just like
they don't have any like receptors to like tell them not to go at full power or full strength.
So they end up accidentally bringing. Or not accidentally. They bring one to life in the morgue after they roommate together and convinces him.
After they like, get fired already. They're already, like, out of a job.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, I'll help you with this. And it ends up resulting in the Dean's death. And the Dean is Barbara Crampton's father, who
she's great.
Dan is dating. Yeah, she is great. If you watch this movie and you really like it, check out From Beyond, because it's basically just, like, the twin brother to this movie.
Yeah. Same directing style. Very gooey. More gooey than this movie. Yeah, I actually was. Yeah, I was like, yeah, Re-Animator is really gooey, but it's actually like there are some fun like scenes. But From Beyond is like you kind of feel icky afterwards. You kind of feel like you just swam through slime.
Yeah. Which there's another movie we watched that is very gooey, but we'll get to that soon. But yeah,
is she in Trophy? Have you heard of Trophy Heads?
No, not off the top of my head.
I think Charles Band directed it. It's from like 5 years ago, I think. 10 years ago. Linnea Quigley. A bunch of like kind of really like B and C list like final girls and stuff. One of the ladies from Slumber Party Massacre. It's all like I think they all play like decapitated heads. but it's all like it seems very fun, and Charles Band directed it.
Like 8 heads in a duffel bag.
So I might watch that this week.
Huh.
Oh, the lady from Blood Subspecies 2 and 3 is in it.
Of course she is. They had to bring back all the heavy hitters. Interesting.
So, something to keep an eye on. And some of them are like one of the ladies from The Killer Eyes.
Wow. Which she was in other Full Moon stuff. So it seems like most of like the Full Moon crew, like they get some of the women from that. And that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, did you know the new Luca Guadagnino, whatever his name is, the Call Me By Your Name guy and Suspiria guy, his new movie, Bones and All or whatever, Jessica Harper's in it.
Oh, really?
She's not like a super prominent role, but I was like clicked on her because I was seeing if there was multiple like horror movies. I almost picked Rocky Horror Picture Show and Shock Treatment. I don't know if you ever heard of Shock Treatment.
Shock Treatment is the sequel, yeah.
Yeah, she's the main character from Rocky Horror in the sequel. But I saw that. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Re-Animator, dumb, but good. So he brings people back to life. Dan's like, I don't know, man. But he's like, this guy's kind of hot, so I guess I'll go with it.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. That's why he's doing it.
More or less. It's that or the curiosity of just being able to bring back people.
The like head surgeon teacher, I don't even really know what he is. He's a surgeon, but
he's a professor there who is kind of notable over here, but really it's revealed that pretty much all of his like acclaim is because he ripped off a foreign guy that Herbert West was learning under before he accidentally fucking killed him with his experiments. But yeah, so...
And that guy was... Where do I recognize that guy from?
Gruber? I don't know.
No, not Gruber.
Hill?
Carl Hill.
Nothing. But he's great. He's like really good in this movie. There's that one creepy scene that I don't like, but I think he's a really fun antagonist. Yeah. That I think meshes well with also like the insanity of Herbert West. Like they're both just... nuts.
No, they're both scumbags.
But Herbert West, at the very least, is like, why would you do that to a woman when I'm right here?
Yeah. Honestly, if not for the fact that he stole his notes and possibly his fame, I don't think Herbert West would have fucking even lifted a finger had he, like he'd run rampant. But that's just because Herbert West is Herbert West. Not exactly a role model.
Yeah. But he's fun to watch.
He is fun to watch.
They get into a giant fight with a bunch of zombies at the end. The main girl, Barbara Crampton, ends up dying. Yeah. But Herbert West is being strangled by someone's intestines because he tried to...
It's Hill's intestines. He decides... He's like...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The whole time, he didn't need to do this. The situation was pretty much handled.
Yeah, he's like... Don't worry, I have an idea. And he pulls out 2 more of the reagent things. And he's like, overdose!
Yeah, he literally, like, this part particularly reminded me of, like, a Rick and Morty, but because he's just like, overdose! And just, like, shoves him into his back, and then, like...
And then it starts, like, exploding, and his intestines come alive and start strangling him.
Heavenly light coming out of the stomach, and it just starts pulling him in.
And he's like, oh! And he's like, and they're trying to run because they're like, there's, like, poisonous gas. There's, like, ammonia or something, like, spreading. He's like, my notes, and he throws them, and Dan goes back to them, and he's like, okay, well, as long as my notes are fine.
Yeah.
And we think Herbert West dies, but it doesn't actually, like, show it. And then he comes back.
Yeah. In my canon, this is the only canon film. The other 2 are, like, alternate universe, just like,
I still haven't seen Beyond, but I was not a fan of Bride of Re-Animator.
Bride has...
I don't think it's, like, terrible, but...
Bride has its moments, but it's a major dip in quality compared. And it makes sense. It's Brian Yuzna or Yuzuna.
Did Yuzna do 2, or did he just
do 3? He did 2 and 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's been trying to do a 4th one for years, which, if he can, I'd still watch it.
I think Jeffrey Combs, like, at this point, because he's, like, 70, I think that would be great. Yeah. Like, him maybe having a pupil that he's trying to...
Well, that's kind of...
Is that what Beyond is? Or
Beyond, yeah, because Beyond also has that time skip, and he's in prison, and he's basically, like, gets... because he gets arrested after the events of Bride, and then like basically they're short on doctors, and they're like, well, here's this one guy, so we can bring him in, and then he convinces the prison doctor. He's like, yeah, let's start up the fucking band again, since I don't have Dave. Or Dan. And then, yeah.
Did Dan die in 2? I don't remember what happens to Dan.
No, he escapes, but the third movie is basically like, yeah, Dan was finally done with Herbert's shit. And it's like, well, if he didn't get done with his shit after the first film, let's be honest. I could see him sticking around through the events of the first film, but...
Except Dan come back for the 4th one.
He probably would.
And he has to face Herbert one last time.
Yeah. They might do maybe they'll just do a legacy sequel where they forget the other 2 existed.
That would... And they're gay lovers, and they live on a little house, and it has nothing to do with it. They're just in love.
They just bring plants back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it becomes like a little shop of horrors. Yeah. It's like, oh no!
Dude, I'd straight up actually fucking watch that. But, yeah.
It's like, I was trying to finally use this for good.
I couldn't keep a plant alive to save my life, so I brought them back to life. But, yeah. Re-Animator. It's a good one. It's my favorite Stuart Gordon movie. But honestly, one of my favorite, like, horror comedies. I think it's not quite as high quality as, like, an Evil Dead, but I think of, like, if you want something quite as crazy as the Evil Dead, like, Stuart Gordon's work is, like, a good next place.
He's not necessarily Sam Raimi, but he's fun, and he's consistently pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like,
if you like movies that just kind of are funny in a dark sense of humor kind of way and spiral out of control.
But also are, like, pretty good for the most part. Like, I didn't like Castle Freak, but everything else we watched I at least, like, somewhat enjoyed from him.
Yeah, no, I'd say I enjoy the majority of his work that I've seen, because I liked... Yeah, I like Dagon, I like From Beyond.
You weren't a fan of Dolls, right? Or you thought it was okay or something?
I wasn't a big fan of Dolls. It was a little too full moon energy for me compared to his normal line of work.
What about Robot Jocks?
Robot Jocks was good, and so was I did enjoy. Fortress? I don't know if I like talked highly about it at the time, but like since then, I think back fondly on Fortress a lot.
Yeah. Might have been a little bit.
I see, but yeah, and I kind of want to watch Fortress 2 because that's the one in space, right?
I think so, but it's not by Stuart Gordon, and I've heard it fucking sucks.
Then yeah, I probably wouldn't like it then. Maybe I'll just rewatch it.
I don't even think it's... actually, I don't think the first Fortress was full moon either, yeah.
No,
it was just... Fortress Films.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I might just go through and finish, like, because he's... I think I only have like 6 more before because he did some Masters of Horror stuff. Oh yeah, you watched one of them.
Yeah,
Dreams in the Witch House, right?
Yeah, that one was pretty decent. Yeah. I think it's the weakest of his like H.P. Lovecraft stuff, but it also, to my understanding, sticks the closest.
I think he did another one. He did the Black Cat as well.
Yeah, I didn't watch. Or I watched half of that one because that's the one where Jeffrey Combs plays Edgar Allan Poe, and I got like halfway through it.
Was it bad?
It wasn't bad. I just kind of got... I had to like put it down. Just never got a chance to put it back up.
And all his movies are short too.
Yeah, they're usually like 90 minutes or less.
And those two are like an hour because they're the Master Report stuff. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about maybe just picking some Master Report. Like,
was it seasons? Were they television shows?
Yeah, they were basically like something kind of in the vein of like
Black Mirror or like
Tales from the Crypt, but instead of being like, yeah, it was a TV show, but they were like more like just a movie every
Here's
week.
A mini movie. Yeah, I think Takashi Miike did like one or two.
I've seen a couple independent of... I
think Joe Dante did one.
Mm-hmm. I watched one from like the first season where it's like some parents like bring their kid back to life and like he lives in the basement and they have to like feed him other kids.
That's fun.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Yeah.
I will say I don't usually like, and I don't like it in this movie, like animal violence or like cats dying or anything.
It's like the fakest looking cat.
It's so like funny to look at. It's like
not even.
And it's like, and then they like throw it, and it's like jumping around. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it in this movie because it's so clearly fake and over the top that it's like, all right, this is funny. This I'm okay with. Yeah. Not torturing a real cat.
Yeah.
That's different. But implied with fake special effects, all the way.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot, though. Yeah. And the score is great. I really like. I think as I go on, Richard Band. The first couple movies I watched with Richard Band scores, I'm like, this sucks. But I think I've really come around. I'm like, yeah, Richard Band.
Richard Band's got an energy. He did like basically just plagiarize the fucking theme from Psycho for this one. Whether that was his decision or whether Stuart Gordon was like, hey, I kind of just want the Psycho theme to open this movie. I don't know. I highly doubt Richard Band could have gotten that under anyone's noses because it's like, it's very obvious. I feel like people who haven't even seen Psycho are like...
It's like, hey, it's the song.
Yeah.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if they're more into the movie zeitgeist, they might be able to pick up on, hey, yeah, I've heard this. But, yeah, I love Re-Animator. You would give it like a 7.
I'm also at a 7, yeah. For this one. Thinking maybe a low 8 or a high 7 for you?
It's like a high 7.
All right.
Yeah, what's the next one?
I think it's TerrorVision.
TerrorVision.
Okay. Ted Nicolau, baby.
Yeah.
I really like this movie.
I'm like somewhere in the middle on it.
I think...
I have a hard time with stuff that is like purely tongue-in-cheek, and this movie is like 120% tongue-in-cheek.
That's fair.
But while I was clashing with it for like the first like maybe like half an hour or so, as it progressed, I got more into it.
That's fair. I am also usually not like a huge fan of purely tongue-in-cheek, but there was something about it. I was just like, this is so much fun.
Yeah, I think the fact that Beef is in it helped a lot. I don't know
really
the actor's name. He's in a lot of Beef.
Garrett? No.
Yeah, it's like Garrett something.
Yeah, Garrett Graham.
Yeah, he's good. I always like seeing him and stuff. He's in like Chud 2, Bud the Chud.
Chud 2, Bud the Chud?
Yes, he is the Bud the Chud.
What the fuck? You can't call something Bud the Chud.
It has like nothing to do with Chud 1, by the way.
I haven't seen Chud or Chud 2.
We
should make Chud 3.
I think there might.
There's not. I just checked.
There's not? Okay. But there should be a Chud 3. Chud 1.
I haven't watched it, but I think he's in High Mom with Robert De Niro, and it's by a Brian De Palma film. Yeah. I've heard that one's good. He's in Shopping Mall, which is not very good. Mm-hmm. He's in Used Cars, which is a Zemeckis movie.
Yeah, he was in something else I watched fairly recently.
He's in Beware the Blow.
He is. Yeah.
And I remember I was watching it and be like, it's the best part.
Beef. Yeah.
I say semi-recently. That was a year ago.
It feels semi. I know. I rewatched Re-Animator like when we did the Stuart Gordon things, and I felt like I didn't even need to rewatch it. But like that was like probably like over a year ago now.
I think it was like September of last year that we did.
Yeah, so it's like
time's like as we get older, time is literally just flying by. I'm like, we're gonna die soon.
Yeah, no, it's gonna sneak up on us.
It's gonna be tomorrow, and we're gonna be 75. We're gonna be recording screen. And then we're both going to have joint heart attacks at the same time.
One of us will keel over and it's like,
I'll be like, I'm coming! And I'll just like hit my heart and be like, ah!
There we go. But yeah, TerrorVision. I know this is before Stay Tuned, but it reminded me a lot of Stay Tuned.
Which Ted Nicolau made another movie like this. It was Bad Channels, I think.
Yeah, I haven't watched Bad Channels.
Which is about radios.
But that movie is part of the Doll Man Demonic Toys crossover. And
Really?
Yeah, because I remember being like, what the fuck is this random third movie that they keep referencing? And I looked it up. I'm like, well, I'm not watching that. I didn't prepare for this. I didn't realize. It wasn't in the title. I didn't realize. But yeah, no, it's in there. It's like... got like
the full moon cinematic universe is alive and well.
I don't know what it's like a 50s radio thing, and there's like a woman who shrinks.
Yeah, I think there's like an alien that controls people with like the radio or something, and he shrinks people or some shit.
Yeah, I have no idea. It didn't seem quality based off of the bits I've seen from that Demonic Toys Dollman movie, but that movie itself was kind of shit, so I guess I shouldn't take that as a good frame of reference for the original film. But yeah, this movie is about Guy, Beef. He lives with his family, his wife, his like punk rock like teenage daughter,
her hair
is
massive.
It's very big. This is probably the most 80s.
My God. I love this movie. The more I think about it, it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, this movie is like so like it's really the type of movie that like if somebody pointed a gun at me and asked me to write like a sci-fi comedy horror in like 2 hours, this is like what I would churn out. Like, just like, okay, I'm just going to go very tropey, very tongue-in-cheek. The characters are going to be very fucking just like over the top and zany the whole fucking time.
So Garrett Graham's like this rich guy, and he buys a new like TV satellite for his family. It's like a DIY one. He's putting it together, and does like lightning strike it or something, or
he hits it, and then like lightning strikes it,
and that pretty much lets it pick up like higher frequencies, and it picks up like these alien frequencies from like a galaxy far away, and it pretty much traps like a giant intergalactic like monster in it.
Yeah.
Who then starts like going through the TV and like eating people.
Yep.
And they start getting messages from this alien guy who's like, I work as a janitor. I accidentally sent a space monster to you. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
It's gonna destroy your entire planet.
Unless you destroy your satellite. But they just think it's like a television show. And the parents are too busy. They're trying to have sex with another couple.
They're swingers.
But the swingers are actually like gay.
And that's too much for...
yeah, he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I'm willing to exchange, like,
women, but I don't want to have sex with no man. Like, come on, Garrett. You played Beef.
Yeah, I like to think that it was just the character, not Garrett.
Well, yeah, it was. And meanwhile, the grandpa's the first to go. And then the monster starts, like, taking their bodies and, like, using them as puppets, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the kid gets trapped in the room with it. But then it leaves, so he's fine.
Yeah, it had left.
But the mom's like, I want to fuck this guy. So she just starts shoving her kid, and he's like, no! Yeah. And there's a lock on the grandpa's door. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing, this old man? And then you look inside, and it's like, there's a Confederate flag. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, lock him in the room.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, oh.
But he is, like, walking around with a loaded gun. And I was like...
Yeah, him and the kid are just, like... soldier training, like he's very just, you know, oh, this kid's gonna grow up and be a soldier, and his grandfather very much into that and definitely pushes for it too.
I do like this movie because it never like feels like it's making fun of like the next generation or anything. It's just like everyone in this is an idiot.
Yes,
but kind of fun. Like the kid might be the only one who's like smart about decisions. At least somewhat. Like, he's like, I should call for help. And he tries to call, and the police don't come. And then the police get eaten. And
yeah.
I feel like I was really on board with this movie. Like, really on board when, like, an hour in, the monster is about to eat OD. And OD puts up his hand.
That's the point where I was like, okay. I'm actually liking this.
He puts up his hand, and the monster gets a flashback because it looks like the glove that his like handler used to pet him with, and he's like, "This is my friend." And I was like, "This is incredible."
Before that point in the movie, it was just kind of generic, like, nobody believes me story, and I hate those. Yeah. So I think
what I usually do, like Child's Play, like the first, I cannot stand that movie because of it. But this one, maybe it's just because I did find most of it to be pretty funny, and I think the characters are like cartoonish enough that I can get over it.
Garrett Graham is in Child's Play 2.
He
plays
is.
a stepdad. That's probably what...
Maybe I liked Child's Play 2 more, just because Garrett Graham's in it.
Maybe. I highly doubt that.
But I'm pretty sure you've told me that it's just the more the same. It's like, nobody believes me for like the exact same amount of time.
Until you get to
Like the
Bride of
one.
Chucky, that's pretty much the shtick of the first three. And I think it works for the first one. Maybe I'm just biased because I watched it when I was a kid, so I didn't have that distaste for that plot line. And now it's like my frame of reference for
That's fair.
But yeah. But once they were like, oh, it's listening to us. Let's teach it.
And then they start just feeding it food and be like, OD. It's for like a whole 10 minutes. Like they just completely changed the tone of the movie. It's like
we also have to mention there's a horror movie host named Medusa.
Yeah, like
who the
Elvira,
kid kept trying to call him.
She has big old boobies that his grandfather's like, oh, I want to watch this.
Yeah, and once they like start to train the monster, like we need to like we can benefit from this like financially. We just need to get
the
it
older
on
sister's
TV.
like, we should make money.
Yeah, so then they try to call Medusa, so they convince her to like come over, but she's taking a while to get there because she thinks there's a party going on.
Yeah, but then the alien shows up and all seems to be saved.
The monster goes bad again because it sees the alien on the TV and starts freaking the fuck out. And then fucking
It's OD?
OD it ends up like just it's like rah, 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 and OD's like and like smacks it and then it just eats his face.
Yeah.
And then back to full panic mode, but then it's in the hot tub and it's just like TV, and it's just like having a blast watching a fucking UFO destroy it. I think it's watching like Earth versus the Flying Saucers or something. There's a few B movies that show up in this, like they show the robot monster movie, the one with the gorilla that has like the fish tank on its head. There's like the giant claw. There's a couple others, but
Is Giant Claw got the big bird?
yeah, it's like the big shitty looking.
That's actually one of the few like B horror movies I saw as a kid. Like it was randomly on TV, and it's like lived with me ever since. I think about it all the time.
Yeah, I found out about it through Cinemassacre because James Rolfe literally had the exact same experience you did. He's like, I saw it on TV once when I was a kid, and I've been weirdly obsessed with it ever since. And I was like, well, I have to check out that movie. Yeah, I've got like a horror pack on it with some like old giant monsters.
It's by the same director as Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a major.
And The Werewolf.
Oh, the 50s one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's...
You thought it was okay?
It's okay. It's kind of a product of its time, but I think that's kind of...
Rock Around the Clock. I don't know what that is.
I'm not here with that one, but I don't think I want
Can't wait for the Fred F. Sears. Oh, Jesus. He died in 57.
Oh, wow.
He died at like 43. He died the year The Giant Claw came out.
Oh.
Okay, well now I need to look up what happened to Fred F. Sears.
Okay. Well, I'll explain a little more of what happened to the movie. So yeah, then this alien shows up and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to try to take care of this problem and maybe if I don't end up killing it, which I will probably have to, but there's a small chance that we could bring like your actual family and all the people it's eaten back to life. They'll just have to like, we'll basically extract the DNA from its like system and they'll have to live in special fish tanks for the rest of their life. But that's irrelevant because Medusa...
He just died of a heart attack at 44.
Oh.
Apparently he was making like 2 or 3 movies like a year. He was going like, he was like, let's go!
Yeah.
And he probably had a heart attack because he just couldn't stop working.
Yeah.
But yeah, Medusa shows up and
kills the alien.
Yeah, she's like, I gotta save these kids! Because he's like, drop the weapons. He's like, you don't need those. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's like, oh, comedy of errors. Looks like he's about to kill the kids. So she hits him on the head in his fishbowl, and then his head explodes because it has the wrong pressure. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, no.
Yeah. And then the alien...
eats them all.
Yeah, eats them all. Slimes up, makes a slime puppet of Medusa, and is like, all right, yep, take me back to the studio. We're going to broadcast on TV, and yeah. Assumingly assimilates the whole Earth.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I think it's funny. I I think it takes the tropes of like 80s movies pretty well. I think it looks good. Like I love the monster design. It's so goofy and weird.
Yeah.
And I love how gooey like everything is in this. I love goo in horror movies.
Yeah. The other day I was watching Re-Animator and she's like, why don't movies look like this anymore? Like horror movies look like this anymore. And I'm like, I know, right?
I wish. Yeah.
Bring back the goo.
Yeah, honestly, like, what's wrong with a little goo?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess we're just trying to...
I want stickiness.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we did go through that, like, I guess, more realistic and then ghost era. So it's like, we need to go back to the goo era of horror. But...
The entity in Barbarian's a little gooey.
A
little.
Yeah, kind of. But
you're dirty.
Yeah, more dirty.
But yeah, this movie I think is funny. I think it looks good. I think it sounds good. I like the score for this. It's like doo 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 doo.
Yeah, it's also a very zany score.
The puppet looks great. I really like pretty much all the characters. I think they're all fun.
I really don't think I liked the grandpa and the grandkid for the first chunk of the movie, and I never came around on the grandfather because he died.
I think the grandfather's funniest when he's the flesh puppet. He's like, I'm just doing business.
Yeah. Like, where's Grandpa? And they're in the bed.
They're all in the bed, and then he's like, oh, I'm just here doing business.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's funny.
And they're like, oh my god.
Oh, gross, Grandpa.
You have your things, we have ours. Yeah, that scene's so funny. I was smiling this whole time. I thought this movie was very funny. Mm-hmm. I really had a blast with this one. Yeah. I think this might be my favorite Ted Nicolau movie, except for Subspecies 2. I think that one might be. Because I think that one's like... maybe a better movie, even though I was like smiling more at this one.
Yeah, I think this is probably takes the cake as my favorite of his.
But yeah, I was really riding high on this one, and then I went from this one. What did I watch after this one?
I know what one I watched after this one.
Did you watch Killer Eye?
No.
Creepozoids? I watched TerrorVision, then Tourist Trap, so I was doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then Ghoulies, and then Re-Animator.
Yeah, the order I watched them, I started with Killer Eye, then I watched Ghoulies 2, and then I watched TerrorVision, then I watched fucking Creepozoids, then Tourist Trap, Re-Animator.
But yeah, I think TerrorVision's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. You want just a good... more than a comedy than a horror, definitely, without a doubt, then this is probably a good one. Especially if you like 80s.
I think you're going to give this one a 7? 6? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that you're going to give this one like a 7.
7, yeah. I'm rocking with a lot of 7s today. I was, pleasant. When you think about Full Moon, you're like, absolutely not. Well, I'm like, not too bad. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Ghoulies 2.
Ghoulies 2.
By Albert Band, Charles Band's father.
This one's fun.
Yeah,
I think I liked it a lot more when I initially watched it after watching, 45 Full Moon movies.
That's fair. I was riding high on a lot of these other movies, so I don't think it hits that. I still think it has some fun parts. I think the Ghoulies designs are fun. The little person in this movie. Phil Fondacaro. He's legitimately a really good actor. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is funny because everyone else in this movie is not very good.
No, they're not.
I think the guy who plays Uncle Ned is okay at playing like a drunk.
Yeah, he's in stuff. He's in the beginning of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He's the hermit that the big top tent lands near his property, and he's the first one to get got by the clowns. There's something else he's in. He pops up pretty frequently as a minor character or a background, kind of couple lines with 80s horror movies here and there. I think he's in like an episode of classic Star Trek or something. I want to say that there's something I saw with him in it where he was younger, and I was like, whoa, I recognize that guy. But,
Or he's in House 2.
House 2.
House 2, the second story. I haven't seen any of the House movies.
I watched House 1 more often than I watched House 2, but I do vaguely remember House 2. It's the one with the little, like, weird alien pug thing. But, yes.
But yeah, Ghoulies 2, it's about a traveling carnival that is
losing money.
It's losing money, and the owners, the like shareholders, they're like, we gotta cut costs here. So the like main like CEO's son comes in. He's like, I'm gonna get rid of this main like this big attraction if it doesn't turn a profit by the end of the weekend. And this movie also has those same kind of themes of like these small town attractions like being just thrown away, these people's lives being thrown away over this. It doesn't really go into that though at all, like as much as like something like Tourist Trap does, which is like ingrained in its like presentation is that theme. This is just kind of stated a couple of times. And it's kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, the main focus of the movie is the little ghouls inside the tourist attraction.
Yeah,
not the tourist attraction, the carnival attraction.
Yeah. I will say I do really like there. Towards the very end, it has a very much, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. He's like, guys, there's something going on in the attraction. I need your help. He's like, let me grab my piece.
Yeah.
And he just goes and grabs a gun.
No,
they're all like, we're gonna go get him.
Yeah.
I think that might be my favorite part of the movie because it's like,
if he says that there's something dangerous in there, we're gonna go in there and take care of it.
And when he says there's no more danger, then we'll leave. I'm like, hell yeah! So I do think this like found family aspect of the carnival, I think they do an effective job at like portraying that pretty well. I do think like all the characters just aren't very good. Besides the Phil Farcaro or whatever I said his name was. I like his character.
The actor.
Yeah, I think he's good.
He's in other stuff, right? I feel like I've seen
he plays an Ewok in Star Wars. He's in. Let's see. He's in Hellraiser 4, 5, Bloodline. I think that's 5.
The
4.
One.
It's an Alan Smithy movie.
Yeah, that one's not good.
It's
the one that takes place in like 3 different time periods.
Oh, I might like that one.
I don't think you will. It sounds more appealing than it is.
But yeah, he's in like 40 movies. He's in Willow. I haven't seen Willow, but
I don't think I have.
That's the one with Warwick Davis, the fantasy one by Ron Howard. He's getting a show soon.
No, I haven't seen it, but
he's in Troll 1.
I saw Troll 1.
I haven't seen Troll 1. That's a full moon movie. I don't know if you knew that. Troll 2 is an Empire movie.
Yeah.
He's in Blood Dolls. That's right. Okay. Okay, yeah. Because I was like, what do I know him from?
He's the monk. I watched the first part of Blood. He's like the monkey in Blood Dolls, right? Like the guy wearing the monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you started Blood Dolls that
I
one time.
started it, yeah.
He's in Doll Man versus Demonic Toys.
I probably saw him in that too.
He's in Evil Bong.
I don't remember.
Unfortunately, it seems like he's stuck in... Oh, yeah, he's in The Creeps, which is the 90s movies by Charles Band.
I thought you meant like The Creeps as in like Creep 1 and 2.
Yeah, he plays Peach Fuzz. They actually change actors when Mark Duplass puts on the... Yeah.
Drops the mask down.
But yeah, some of the kills are fun in this. But like all the characters are just really boring, I think.
Yeah. No, they're pretty...
I like some of the themes, I like some of the ideas, but I don't think they're presented in a super like satisfying way. So it's more just like waiting for the next kill to happen, which I think a lot of horror movies are. It's just kind of disappointing when they are.
Yeah.
But the kills are very fun. And I really like the Ghoulies designs. They're fun.
Which one's your favorite?
Let me look at them again.
Yeah, there's like the cat one. There's like the green fish looking one. There's that weird like kind of gargoyle looking one.
Yeah, Because there's is it the gargoyle looking one that then the final guy that shows up is just kind of a big version of that one?
No,
or
the final one is a big version of the green one.
Oh, the green, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The gargoyle one. I like the one that holds the camera in this shot.
Yeah,
I really like that one. Yeah. I do like the cat one because it makes me maybe the most uncomfortable. I'm just like, I don't like that. What the fuck is that? The rest, I'm like, look at these little guys. That one, I'm legitimately just like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah.
So, because of that, I think I might like that one the best.
I like the cat one because it basically just looks like this guy.
Joe Yowza. Yeah. Joe Yowza. He's so good. I think I'm going to open this probably. Are you going to be hurt if I open this?
No, I figured you were because when I bought it, it came in a damaged package, so I figured you weren't going to collect it. I figured you were going to...
I'm going to make a necklace of Joe Yowza, and he just, like, dangles around.
See, I figured you'd just reenact, like, the Spaceball scene, except you'd just be, like, recreating the Jabba the Hutt, like... like... just play it in the background.
But yeah, I think the main antagonist, like the human guy, like R. Harding or whatever, he's
generic.
Okay. Yeah, I think he is efficient enough. He might be the best actor out of all of them, besides the guy I've already been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's super hard to be like, hey, act like the biggest asshole you can imagine.
Yeah,
it's probably the easiest role to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably.
But he's fun. His death's okay, I guess.
Oh yeah, he gets eaten on the toilet.
Yeah, I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, I probably would have
kind of
gone for a more satisfying death that felt more thematically relevant to his character. But I guess the shitter's a way to go.
Yeah.
As any Gremlins knockoff should, they have the traumatic backstory scene for the girlfriend in this movie.
What did she say? I can't even remember.
It's a tight walk story where...
Oh, that's right. And they looked down and they had missed.
Yeah. And I've been afraid of heights ever since.
I do think that, like, I do think maybe the funniest one comes from Gremlins 2. When he's like, when he died on President's Day or whatever.
Yeah, because it had become a fucking cliche at that point, so they were just like, all right. Well.
Because Gremlins 2 came out, like, 6 years after Gremlins, so there was already, like, 1 billion knockoffs of Gremlins. Mm-hmm. Ghoulies. Was Critters around that time, too? Or when did Critters come out?
Yeah, Critters came out after Gremlins, but the script was written before, so it's like a weird hybrid of a Gremlins knockoff that doesn't feel like one, because that's why it was made, is because of the success of Gremlins.
No, like, I have a thing about little monsters.
Yeah, and then...
and now there's 5 of those movies.
There's 5 in, like, a series.
That's right.
Yeah. I've seen the first 3. The third one is the theatrical debut of Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's right.
It's like 12.
Ghoulies 3, Critters 3.
Yeah. The Critters movies, I haven't watched them.
I've heard 1 and 2 are, like, both. I've heard that 2's pretty good.
1 and 2 I remember really liking. And they've got, oddly enough, the voice of Steve Smith from American Dad. He's, like, the main character in both of them. He went on to, like, also be a one-hit wonder. He seems like Sunset Boulevard or something like that. But, yeah, fucking... Yeah. It's quite interesting.
But, yeah, I think Ghoulies 2 is fun enough. I just think that there are themes in this that, like, with maybe a better director or better script, I think could have actually been like, wow, this is really good. But I'm sure this is much better than Ghoulies 1. Which I will probably watch this week. Well, I don't know. If we watch all the fucking 11 Hellraiser movies, we'll see.
Well, this Ghoulies 1 might be a pick-me-up at that point.
That's true, if I watch all 10. I also realized Tina Tay is out of town for like 3 days this week, so if you want, I'm down to watch all 10, because they're all like an hour and 20 minutes each.
Yeah, I'm already 2 down, and I own all of them, so why not?
Our deep dive, and then our regular episode where we watch 11 movies.
Yeah, way bigger than the deep dive we did this month, but whatever. we'll probably try to sprint through a couple of those, I'm sure, because some of them just really...
Yeah.
I don't know. The Hellraiser movies, they're bad, but they're all, like, uniquely bad because they kind of did that, like, typical horror movie thing where they took a script for a different movie and
yeah,
kind of slightly rewrote it to be a Hellraiser movie. So
I think the one I'm most excited for is Hellraiser Hellworld, which is the, like, online RPG one, because that just sounds so fucking stupid.
Yeah, they're all pretty bad. 5 is like the new R1. 4 is the one that's like in 3 periods. They go back to like Barry Lyndon times, modern times, and there's like a section of the movie that's Pinhead in space.
You know, maybe I'm gonna not like the first 2 and then kind of like some of the other ones because they'll be so bad.
You might. I'm hoping to find some camp value in them, but I
really probably won't happen. Because I've seen, you know, the last... Did you ever see 10?
10. I've started 10.
It's so fucking
that's
bad.
That's Revelations, right? Because there's Revelations and then they did Judgment.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm thinking of Judgment.
The found footage one in Mexico.
Is that 10?
That's Revelations. That one's 9.
Okay, yeah, I've seen Revelations. Okay, so I guess... I've seen Revelations and then Judgment, yeah.
Yeah.
And... Revelations... So I've seen 9 and 10.
Okay.
Yeah, Revelations... Even when I saw it, which I think was around the time it came out, I was like, that might be the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's bad. I remember... Because that one's a Dimension Extreme movie. And Dimension Extreme is extremely bad in all given...
They did Feast 2 and 3.
Yeah, they did.
And The Wizard of Gore.
Yeah, they did... some Children of the Corn movies. They did Diary of the Dead by George A. Romero. And that one is hands down the worst Romero Living Dead film.
But
you don't even like the good ones. So.
I like them.
Oh, okay.
I like Day of the Dead a lot. And I like Night and
I wasn't sure if you
Dawn.
Rewatched them.
No. I like Night and Dawn. I just don't like...
You're not
I think I gave them like a 6. I like them.
I see.
Day, I think I gave them.
I'm just obsessed with those movies.
No, and I get it. I just, you know, watching them after watching all these other things, like throughout my life, I get it. I just not necessarily for me. Anyway, Ghoulies 2, you're gonna give it 6.
I don't know.
Okay. That's like the first time you've said that. You're just like, I don't know.
I think I'm gonna stick.
Is it 7?
No, I think I'm gonna stick with my OG score that I gave it the first time, which is a 4.
What the fuck? Oh yeah, it's for your thing that I think are bad, but I kind of like.
Yes.
I'm Thomas. Well, guess what? I'm not a coward.
You're gonna give it a 6.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think they're counting. All right, now we're getting in the real good stuff. Let's talk about Creepozoids.
Creepozoids.
All right, so the good. I like the idea of it. I like this weird, like, we're hiding from the acid rain. We got to get to New LA. Like, there's some world building. I think it's goofy and fun, like late sci-fi stuff. In the late year of, I think, 1998. I think is when it takes place.
Something like that.
I like the design of like the weird bug monster. I think it's a fun little design. And I think it's also did something that Full Moon hasn't done for me in a while, which is completely baffle me, which is when the bug monster died and the weird baby came out and started fighting the main character for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that went.
I was actually scratching my head. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It also didn't help that Tubi glitched, and at that moment I paused it, and it looked like there was still like 40 minutes left in the movie. I'm like, what the fuck? Because it just hadn't like loaded properly. So it was saying I was only 30 minutes, and I'm like, what is happening?
No, yeah, the first like 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes of this movie, I was like, what the fuck is, what? Like, I watched the first 10 minutes and I was like, after the, like, scientist scene where it's just a scientist in a lab and someone keeps... Is someone there? just like nonchalant, and then finally she opens the door and it's the Creepozoid.
I also don't think that scene was needed at all. Like, that's another one. Like, that just let them show up and look around. Yeah, I think this movie could have been like an hour. Maybe 40 minutes. Like, which I think it has like some fun parts. I like the idea of it, and I love the weird like hacking scenes where you're just kind of typing on a computer. I like the weird vent thing that goes into a cave. And I'm like, why is the vent right below the computer?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Why is the vent to the cave?
I think the only thing I really like about this movie is the scene where the computer guy screams and then the dude comes in and just kicks the head and goes, it's nothing. That got me. But other than that, I was thoroughly unimpressed with this one.
Maybe it's because I watched it right after Killer Eye.
I watched it after Killer Eye.
Oh, okay.
And I think I would say that this is better than Killer Eye, but I don't think it's by that big of a margin.
I guess I don't really mind this movie. It's just kind of like, it was watchable to me. I think it was too long and it was ugly, but like some of the creature designs I like the guy's face and like hand exploding after he ate food because he wasn't supposed to eat food anymore. And there were like weird sci-fi like ideas in it that I'm like, that's weird. Okay, I'm on board. So like, it has like virtually no plot. Like they go into this place and they get picked off.
And the little plot it has is similar to Alien. Yeah. Pretty similar to Alien.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I like this movie, but I feel like I felt more warmly on this one than you're going to.
Yeah.
But I also have like virtually nothing to say about this movie.
Yeah,
it was a movie.
It's mostly just people walking around this abandoned building, typing on a computer, going into this little vent den, and getting picked off one by one. There's like a scene that rips off the Evil Dead out of nowhere for a brief moment, where it's like, the one woman, after she got bit by the rat, she gets like, she doesn't transform like the other ones do, but she transforms into like a weird zombie kind of state. And that scene is reminds me of the scene from like the first Evil Dead when, what's her name? The second one, I can't think of the character's name. Scotty's girlfriend, gets possessed, and then they like put her face in the fire and shit like that. It kind of reminded me of like that scene.
I will say that like David Duchovny is a gay man. He's made a lot of like pretty much gay porn. There's a movie he's made called 1313. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but there's like 12 of them. And they're just like boys in a forest. There's something spooky going on, but they're having a lot of gay sex. I will say that I think the way he's like the sex, there's only like one sex scene in this. It's like in the shower. I will say at the very least, it's not the worst thing to look at. Like, it's at least somewhat sensual. I think most of the sex stuff in Killer Eye, which is like just sex stuff with like an eyeball looking at them, I think it looks tacky and kind of gross. I think this one looks fine. I think it's maybe the best like shots in the movie are these sex scenes.
Yeah, probably.
Like, it's not amazing, but it's not like gross to look at, which is nice in a full moon movie, especially.
It surprisingly doesn't feel like very gratuitous. I mean, it's obviously like a fucking shower sex scene and like a slasher type horror movie, but like it feels kind of reasonable. Like, these characters aren't really around water, so they're like, oh yeah, we want to take a shower together. It's like, all right, I can buy that.
And especially around this time, because this is really when Full Moon started kind of getting more into the sleaziness. Like, there was sex stuff before. Like, From Beyond is about sex, but it's just when they just start getting kind of gross in the way they portray sex.
Yeah,
like
it's
women.
less about making statements and more about just using sex to sell a product.
So it's nice. Like, I will say, I was pleasantly surprised in this, especially watching Killer Eye right before. So yeah, I guess that's a positive for me. I like the design. I like the hacking stuff because it's dumb. I like the exploding scene. I do like the weird baby thing. It looks very ugly and stupid.
If it had been a 1-2 minute scene.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I like the look of it, and I like the idea of this guy's fighting a baby.
It felt like the They Live fight scene, just with a weird...
Well, yeah, because he kept, like, throwing it, and then it's like, where'd it go? And he's, like, creeping around. I'm like, did you just keep doing this?
Yeah. And then the very end, it, like, still comes back to life.
And then the movie just ends. It, like, freezes on him or something.
I thought we were getting ready to gear up for fucking round 5. I was like, oh, no.
But, yeah, I think this is a perfectly watchable movie. It's bad, but I didn't hate it, I guess. But it's also one that, like, it's gonna immediately leave my mind after this.
Yeah.
And I'm probably, like, I'm gonna probably forget about it, other than I think Creepozoid's a good name.
Yeah.
But, like, Full Moon, it's not the worst one, but it's very forgettable.
Yeah. No,
it might be the biggest crime of it.
Yeah, a lot of Full Moon movies are forgettable, though. Like, I can think of plenty that I can't think of. But
I was going to be like, how are you going to think of it if they're forgettable, Tom?
Yes. If I were to pull up my list that I added them to after I watched them, that's the thing where, like, now when I put new movies onto the list, I'm like, I don't know where to put, because I don't remember half of these movies. But,
unfortunately, I'm plagued with remembering a lot of Full Moon movies.
I remember moments, and I remember the slog, but when you watch fucking 8 Evil Bond movies back to back, they start to bleed together a little bit, especially when you're watching them on 1.5 speed.
She just watched all 8 at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
I am the Evil Bond.
I would have, like, opened up like Hill at the end of Re-Animator and transcended. But yeah, I don't like this one, but it's less that I find it actively horrible and more that I just find it actively boring.
Which might be worse.
Yes. Depending on your preference.
Depending on the day, I think it depends for me. Like, there are some days when I just get so pissed at movies when they're boring. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, at least it's not actively bad, you know?
Yeah.
So I think you're going to give this one a 2 or a 3.
I think I could probably give it a 2.
Okay.
I think that you'll give it a 5.
Give it a 4. I didn't like it, but thought it was bad. But
oh yeah,
I didn't think it was awful, I guess. Mm-hmm. Speaking of awful, let's talk about The Killer Eye. I don't know why Charles Band decided to make a sequel to this.
The last one we're talking about?
Last one we're talking about.
Okay. Killer Eye. Yeah.
I did not like this movie.
I don't like the fact that I had to fucking pay like $3 to rent this movie. Couldn't find a good
I'm so
pirate
sorry.
ship for it.
I could have just let you use Prime or something.
No. Would have been more of a hassle.
That's fair. I think I ended up just renting Re-Animator because I was watching. I'm like, I don't want to watch ads on this movie.
Yeah, no, I own like 2 copies of Re-Animator, so. But they're both not the edit of the film I like, though, because they're...
Damn it! One of the top reviews for this movie is I didn't like it. Fuck! That's what I said! Anyway, this is about a guy who wants to be able to see into other dimensions. It's just taking...
it's from beyond.
It's from beyond, but instead of, like, them being able to see creatures and them becoming, like, aroused and stuff, it's just like, what if somebody's eye came out and it was gigantic because it was secretly from another dimension? And what if it watched people have sex for an hour and a half or an hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And then do they kill it? They send it back and the guy jumps in after it.
Yeah, that's
and he's
right.
like, well, if he likes giant eyeballs, he'll be fine over there.
It's like, I don't think it's a realm.
Like, nobody really died. Like, only a couple people die in it. It's just sex, and it's gross. Like, it's not very fun to watch. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is like really iffy on if like I'm uncomfortable.
I think the best part of the movie was the himbos.
Yeah, the one thing I remember, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it, is one of them dies and he runs in and he's like, "You killed my best friend, you stupid bitch."
Yeah, your best friend.
I'm like, do you mean your boyfriend? You can say your boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's like me and Thomas are best friends.
Yeah. But, yeah, this movie is bad.
It's bad. I think it's more boring than Creepozoids, because there are things I like in Creepozoids. I kind of like the eye in this, just because I like bad puppets as much as good. Maybe not as much as good puppets, but I can have an appreciation of both.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so boring. And, like, nothing happens. The Creepozoids has, like, a conversation or two that's somewhat about something. This is just like...
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, some woman's like, I'm gonna cheat on my husband because he ain't fucking doing the groundwork. You got the himbos. You got the one dude who's like the scientist's assistant who neglects his wife the whole movie. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Then they were just like, hey, how do they even convince the eye to go back? They're just like, get out of here.
Don't they shoot it with a beam? They like do the same thing they did. They're like, I don't remember. Or no, they have a... I don't know. They figured out how to kill it, I think. And they're like, we're going to kill ya.
Yeah, because the whole concept is like, we're going to put these eye drops in your eye. And you're going to look at this like light and it's going to like...
You're going to be able to see
up
into another, like a dimension, or open a gate, and it opens a gate instead of just being able to see it. And like eyeball monster crawls out of their eye, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's doesn't make much sense.
Doesn't make much sense. He shoots laser beams.
He does.
That like
mind control.
Brainwash,
yeah.
Just a bad time overall. It's like I'm really grasping, because we talked about other movies for a substantial amount of time. The last two are just like, they suck.
Yeah.
But it's like nothing happens in this movie.
No.
It's just sex, and it's just like a man being mean to a woman. Whoa.
Yeah. If you want an hour and 10-minute softcore, boring horror sci-fi B movie.
Yeah.
You might.
It's not even like sexy. Like, at least make it sexy, you know?
Yeah.
I'm fine with sex-driven movies. Like, just make them sexy.
Yeah, you just gotta own it. Give into it and actually fucking go all the way with the concept. But, nah. They decided it wanted to kind of kick the ball around between lanes, so, I don't know. But, Killer Eye. More like Killer
Pie.
Yeah. I was going to say F, because this movie gets an F if I were Chris Stuckman. But I'm not. So, I'm going to give this movie a London score, which is a 1.
A 1, yeah. You're going to give it a 1?
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm going to give it a 10.
10. I've seen the light.
Yes, this movie opened my third eye.
All right.
We've already,
Are we doing it?
I mean, might as well.
All right, we're doing all 11 Hellraiser movies.
All of them. New one included.
10, and then the new one comes out Friday, so we'll have like 2 days to watch it.
Maybe it'll be a long episode, and people will think we just uploaded the full movie again, and it'll get lots of clicks like Ron Turn.
Or it'll be like short. This episode's like 2 hours. This one's a decent shot. And then that episode will be like, it's like 20 minutes. We just say, they all suck. Goodbye. No.
Yeah. Yep, this is the one where they go to space, and it's bad.
And guess what? A Pinhead's in it.
And then until we get to 9 and 10, then we'll just stop saying that.
Yeah.
It's something that kind of strangely almost resembled Pinhead was in this. And we can say it for the remake again, because I'll accept this new one as Pinhead.
She's hot. Pinhead's hot.
I don't know if I'd say it. I'm not into the open wound aesthetic.
I meant the actress that plays Pinhead is hot.
I'm sure she is, but yeah.
You don't like big gaping wounds?
Not on the neck, no. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Neck stuff in horror really like gets me.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I'll be, like, laying down and I'll suddenly become hyper aware of my neck. And I'll be like, oh, I'm suddenly really uncomfortable. Like, I don't like my neck. I'm like, oh. Yep. So I've, like, positioned a pillow so, like, nothing, like, my neck's touching something at all times. Because if it's just exposed, I'm like, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Whenever I see, like, fucking, like, let's say, like, a medieval fantasy movie and they, like, behead someone with a sword, I always just think about, like, the sword, like, just, like, like coming into contact with that first, like,
and I'm like, I'm just gonna start wearing a bunch of chainmail around my neck.
Right, start wrapping your neck in saran wrap.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us for Full Moon, the mostly good stuff era.
Yeah, we'll do a bad Full Moon episode.
2000 to 2022.
I mean,
I don't wanna. All right, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time for more Scream Weens. Ooh.